Welcome to episode 6 of Ask a Black Woman podcast. Oh my goodness, how are you guys doing? Thank you all so much for loving on me, loving on us. Black women, you all are the shiznit. You hear me? Because
Yes.
I said I want to get to 100 subscribers by Mother's Day, and at 10 o'clock, on Saturday, we were at 102. And by
Yes.
Sunday morning, we were at 106 because y'all are not playing. So thank you so much. My name is Dr. Lulu. Yes, clock it. My name is Dr. Lulu. I am the chief host of the Ask a Black Woman podcast. But I have a co-host today. And my co-host is
I'm Ann, and I'm so glad to be here with all of you guys.
and Anne says, I'm just Anne. And I just
Just
love that.
Ann.
It's just so zen. So Anne,
Yeah.
welcome and thank
Thank
you
you for
so
having
much
me.
for saying yes. Thank you for saying yes. I always want to ask people, the first question is, why did you say yes? Why did you decide to come on this show?
So, quite frankly, whenever I saw you, it was an immediate yes. It was something about the spirit, the energy. I went to your page. I started checking all the socials, and I said, whatever this woman is building, I have to be a part of. I have to be engaged with. It was just intuitive. And that kind of goes back to when you said this, she says she's just Anne. I do that on purpose, right? Because in the beginning of my story, I was just a mother, right? And I got married, I had these kids, and I quickly realized that many of us only feel validated when we have something attached to who we are. And that cycle
Ooh.
can stifle our growth instead of propel us. Not for everyone, but for me, I really wanted to come out here just and say you can just be who you are,
You
where you
are.
are, and still make giant ripple effects out in your life. So I am just
Period. Oh my goodness. So we're already kind of starting right out the gate with lots. I was trying to take notes. This is our little Ask a Black
okay.
Woman notebook. When we get our merch, we'll get our own notebooks. But for
Yes.
now, I found a little black notebook and I was like, I'm going to use it for Ask a Black Woman. I was already taking notes. I'm like, wait, hold up. This is so good. So, as is customary on the show, you're going to come in with a question
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to try to tackle the question during the show.
Okay.
So, what is the question? What's been bugging you? What's been eating you up? Just and
Well, a question that I have been pondering with myself, my loved ones, and one that I would like to pose to the Black women in our community. What survival patterns are shaping your personality and what you believe about yourself? That's the
what?
question.
Man, y'all are not playing. Folks just be coming out like this. Nobody's coming with anything superficial like what are the ingredients of club soda? No, it's like what is the
Let's
deeper?
go deep.
I love it. I'm going to ask you to repeat the question for the AI so they can pick it
Okay.
up. But this is so beautiful. So, what are your survival patterns, basically, right?
What are the
But go ahead and
survival patterns that are shaping your personality or that you're mistaking for personality, rather?
that is so deep. That is rogue. Okay. All right. Well,
Let's go.
I already know that there's a story behind it because there's no
Very much
question
so.
that does not have a story. So let's hear what happened. What had happened, sis?
A lot happens. So I don't even know where to start, but I'll start at the most meaningful moment that really jump started everything that pushed me off the edge. Around 2023, I got really sick and it was a mystery illness. It was chronic. I woke up to me, it kind of felt all of a sudden, but in hindsight, I missed a lot of signs because I was in survival mode. I was pushing past my limits. I had to ignore a lot of things to get through the day, and boom, I was debilitated. I was in and out of the emergency room. I was questioning how long I had left, and things were getting worse quick. And it was about a year and a half that I went through this struggle. And in that time, I say I went to the very, very, very bottom of it all. I was in the valley, as we like to say, and I got some clarity. I got some perspective on things that actually matter because I have small children. And in 2023, I was like, if I don't make it through this, what have I left for my babies to remember me by? Have I really done the best that I could do? Have I pursued the depths of my purpose? Have I left it all on the field? I'm a sports person as well. So the answer was no. And I just couldn't be satisfied. So when I got to that place, I really had to do a lot of work into how I got there, why I got there, what sustained it, especially once I realized what was wrong and I realized that I had I don't want to use blame language because it was a combination of my environment, the systems that we navigate, and a lot of the question that I ask. I also have to say this. This is not about blaming Black women for the survival patterns that we have chosen because you have to survive. And when you're in survival, all you can do is go.
All you
So,
can do is survive. I think it's about like examining it or becoming
yes,
aware of it. Is
and
that
yes,
your
exactly.
default? And then being able to maybe make any kind of corrections you need to make so that you can survive your survival.
Uh-huh. And so that you can change because of what I realized is some of the habits and patterns that I had held on to had expired. I no longer needed.
Oh,
And I was still
can you
holding
please
on
say
to
that
them.
again for those at the back? Girl, listen, calm down. Okay.
Mhm.
I need you to say that for those at the back. Wow, they had expired.
They had
I've
expired.
never heard that before. So they have an expiration date
Yeah, because sometimes you get past the thing you were trying to survive and you're still holding on to the patterns that you adapted when you were in the thing. And
in
because
the
you're still
thing.
going, and that's what we have to analyze. So that sickness brought me down to my knees. It got me down to the bare bones of everything. And I realized that I never had to get where I was, that I was running on fumes. And ultimately, I remember praying, if I get out of this, if I recover my health, if I'm able to get back to stable, I have to share this with other Black women so they never get to that point. I don't want any other Black woman to get to that point. So that's where the question comes from. That's the
I
backstory.
am in awe because I feel like you're telling my story.
Oh, I want to hear
Like
it.
this is the power of the Me Too, right? When
Mhm.
someone, no, Me Too. That
Yes.
is, I always say we are connected by our storylines. If you didn't
Hmm.
tell your story, I wouldn't see myself in it. I'd be like, you know what? That was me too.
Yeah.
That was me too. Today, I still carry my chronic illness. And because I'm a physician, I'm going to ask you if you want to share what was the diagnosis? Do we know now?
Well, ultimately, I don't know the proper term, but I ultimately, my sugar was chronically low because I wasn't eating well. And it had gotten to a point where my body wasn't able to keep my sugar up. So I didn't have high sugar. I can't remember the term the doctor gave me, but it was so low. It was around the low 50s to 40s. And I was
Yeah,
having
low
my episode.
in medicine, it's called
Yeah.
hypoglycemia, but but yeah, wow.
And it had gone on for so long, it was sustained. So then I
I
was
think you
having the
had,
effects of essentially I was deteriorating and
yeah, I think
it was
it's
bad.
something called, was it something called an adrenal crisis? Did anybody say something like
So,
that, where your adrenals, the organs
um,
that produce the hormones, the cortisol and co,
oh yeah, I
that
paid
keep
for
your
it
body? Yeah.
in every way. Every cycle of my body, every function was paying for it. I was down to the last fumes that I had, and my body was in effect shutting down. I just didn't realize it. And I'm still recovering to this day. But I'm better. I'm a lot better. What I'm feeling now versus what I was feeling then, I already feel like I'm in heaven. So I'm grateful that I got to the answer that I need. And for another little bit of backstory, I was going to doctors. They couldn't give me answers. I wasn't getting anything. I found a doctor. She was a Black woman. And I'm in Mississippi, so that's not something that I find often, right? So that was a big deal for me. And I searched and I searched and I found this lady and she got to my problem just like that. So the end of my trial happened when I finally got in the room with another Black woman and I asked her the question and she
Yes.
gave me an answer and she got
And you
straight to the
asked a
point.
black woman. You
Yes.
asked a black woman. I love, look, I have goosebumps. I have
Yes.
goosebumps because one of the things that they say that the studies have shown is that not only do female physicians get better outcomes, black doctors, period, and no, black patients, period, do better with black doctors. And
Amen.
so if you can extrapolate, black female physicians are the top, the excellent ones. But we live in a country where, no one is going to say that, and no one is going to agree with that. No one's going to appreciate that. But you just hit the nail on the head.
Hmm.
I have so many questions. I have so many questions.
Yes,
I
let's
want to
go.
go all the way back
Okay.
to you said sports person, you said small children, you said environment.
Hmm.
Tell us about that. Where do those three things meet?
So you said sports, we said environment, we said small children. So I think where I want to start, and I may jump around,
No
is
problem.
I keep saying I'm from Mississippi. This is a very important part of my story. In Mississippi, where I am not surrounded by Black women, by Black people. We are a minority to the highest degree in my specific little town. Okay. And that carried a certain amount of trauma for me. I grew up from a very early age. I remember when I was in middle school, I became aware that I was a Black woman or a Black girl and what that meant. That changed the trajectory of my life. And from that point forward, I was doing some variation of what I'm doing right now. And that did not make me valuable in my community. It actually made me a problem because I was pointing out the little patterns that I saw even back then because I was light skinned. I was articulate. I really am averse to that word because of my childhood. And because I was able to put pieces together on my own, I was a bit of a target. I remember multiple times, once a year, I would be pulled outside and a teacher would say to me, "You have a bright future, but you really need to consider who you're hanging out with." That was a dog whistle for stop hanging out with the kids that look like you, assimilate over here. And I understood that at that age, all the way back to middle school, because I can remember the crystal clear moments. And that's when I became the rebel. Not because I was actually a rebel, but because I wouldn't agree to assimilate. I hung out with those kids
Privilege.
more. I made sure that if I was able to see something that they weren't able to see, I put them up on game. I became the whistleblower. I became the advocate. And then it became more of, I don't know, a little bit fun too. I had a lot of bad fun. I would study the
Well, I mean,
rule book.
it's they called good trouble.
Good trouble.
Hello.
There you go. That's what I was trying to say. Good trouble. And I studied the rule book front to back, and I would find loopholes and I would put pigeonhole the authorities into positions where I made them articulate that they were doing something harmful on
Yes.
unintentionally for them, right? Anyway, so they get
Unbeknownst
yes,
to
I
them,
was setting
you
little traps all the time, and that got me in a lot of trouble. Okay. And so that made me a really polarized person. Either you really, really, really love me or you really, really did not, right? And
really?
so,
Wait, hold up. I would walk down the street past you and wouldn't even ever suspect. You remind me of my ex-wife. She was the most calmest. She had this zen of all zens. And unlike you, as far as like being a rebel, she was a conformist, right? She's just like, I don't want any. She's always like, so you remind me of her in that regard. Like I'll
mhm.
pass, I'll be like, oh, she's so mellow. But you're telling me now that you are like a rebel hiding in plain sight. I love it. We're definitely going to be friends. We are friends.
I love that. Yes, I am always underestimated. And I kind of, that was a little bit of my strategy because I played to my appearance because I was light skinned, because I talked a certain way, because I had a certain level of intellect. I allowed people to assume that I wasn't a threat. I got in the room, I got the information, and then by the time you realized what was going on, I already had you. And like you said, the people who knew me, they were like, you messing up. So that became my story. And so when you go, okay, so sports, I played soccer. So that also was another place.
Soccer.
I love soccer. I'm a soccer mom still to this day. I coach soccer in the community. That goes to the community piece. But that is also where I had a lot of trouble because in soccer, there were only maybe two Black girls on the team, right? I was one of those. And it wasn't a nice experience outside of the actual physicality of the sport.
Of the game itself, yeah.
I always had my headphones. I'm a headphones woman. To this day, I walk around and I just have my headphones on, and that's what people know me as. But like they're like, "Do those headphones? What do they do for you?" But I was developing kind of my stamina in these spaces, and I was really at that time I didn't realize it. I was building up that muscle of being okay not being accepted, not being affirmed, affirming myself, standing on my principles. I would say things like they would say, if you just do this, you would be more liked or you would be more successful. And I was like, well, if I have to do that, then I will
And
wait.
I don't want it.
Oh, there you
Yes.
go. I would rather wait on the Lord or whatever I can bring to my own self.
Whatever. Yes.
I will sit under this tree, under the shade by myself and be at peace before I assimilate into those things that I don't agree with. So I didn't realize that that was building me into this person. Then I got pregnant. I had my babies, and that was all I ever wanted. I wanted my own little family so that I could create this unit where they were loved and they were seen and that where they had what I was developing from the jump. And
Yeah.
that started.
Are your babies twins by any chance?
No, I have four babies, but they were all 2 years apart, except for the youngest. He was 5 years younger than my youngest before him.
One before that. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. How old is the baby now?
My baby is 5,
Oh, okay.
and my
Okay. Good.
oldest is 14. So we have
Okay.
14,
Okay.
5.
Super. So you're like a super mom, actually. How was your Mother's Day? Since we're
It
around
was
Mother's.
so nice. This was the first one where I actually felt like I enjoyed it because I took my oldest to a basketball game and it was just me and him one on one. And we got to be in those conversations and having, that one on one time. And then I came home. My husband, he was cleaning up. Then he took me out to eat, and it was just us because our kids are finally big enough to kind of do their own
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. The 14-year-old. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
We went
Yeah.
to the park and just walked and talked about our life. And I was like, this is what I've been missing so
My
much.
dream. Yeah.
Because it was so knee deep. Because when I had my first baby, it was everything that I had dreamed of, but I wasn't prepared for how society is already set up to overwhelm you and put you in that survival mode that we talk about. Because it hit hard and fast, and all the dreams that I had for my kids and all the visions that I had, I mean, they had to start quickly getting put on the back burner for survival. And that was the beginning of a lot of hard times for me where I lost myself. Not because the kids are not because, the family that I had, they did the most that they could, but my parents were still working. They're very present. They help with everything. They're the best. My husband, he works all of the time because he was very much, he wanted me to be home. He wanted me to be with the kids. I wanted that, right? But then over that trajectory, we also found that we became kind of in contention with one another because there was no balance. I personally, because I lived it, I don't necessarily agree with the idea of the nuclear family or this kind of like imbalance in that one person is always working and one person is always nurturing.
I
That
love that.
hasn't worked for us, and I haven't found a family yet that it has actually worked for on a holistic level. Now, mind you, we both were dedicated to this vision. So this is not coming from someone who
From one
is
side.
bitter. This is not
Mhm.
someone who didn't want the family. I was dedicated to this vision, and I found that we both burn out in different ways. He wasn't able to take a sick day. He wasn't able to honor himself. He's been very sick for a very long time because he was dedicated to going to provide. But then that isolated us from each other because
Yes, I
he
was
was
waiting for you to say that. Yeah, you find yourself even maybe even drifting apart and becoming like estranged from each
not
other.
even just a
I
strange
think it's
enemies a little bit because he's fighting
well,
for his survival. I'm fighting for my survival. Survival makes you very selfish. You can't see the other person because you're trying to stay alive. So it's like even if I care about you, I can't focus on your needs. I'm about to crash out
I'm
here.
about to crash. Yeah, I want you to take a moment, man, and I want you to do this. I want you and whoever is watching to take a moment and just breathe and just take like literally a moment today, right here during this show, so I
Yeah.
can give you your flowers.
Mm,
And the flowers are going to be in the form of silence. So you can just be. I just want to hold space for you and everyone else who is going through this because you deserve it. So we're going to be quiet for a moment and just be.
hmm.
It also happens to be the bottom of the hour. I didn't know that, but my phone just buzzed. And at the bottom of the hour, we usually switch roles. If the co-host wants and takes over the mic, because maybe you have questions, maybe you just want to keep telling your story. It doesn't matter.
I would
But
love to
officially
hear the
changing
questions.
roles. I want I want people to understand that even though you're telling the story, you're still inside of the story. See, that is also my story, but I'm outside of the story now. My baby's 20 freaking one. My ex-husband, the source of the drama, has passed on years ago. Right. So I'm in a different place, but I can see you on your way towards the soft life. That's what I hear. That you're looking for it. You're about to get it. So I want you to begin today. To begin today, embracing it. And it's yours.
Mm, come
All
on,
you,
spirit. Yes,
because you deserve it. Your
thank
children
you.
are so lucky to have you. This was your vision. Talk about somebody drowning in their own vision. It's your vision, and yet and so you now begin to antagonize yourself like, well, why did I want this? Why did I even say I wanted this? That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I wanted it because I thought it was the best. Yeah, but why did you say that? And then, and yeah, things will fall apart very quickly.
very quickly.
So as we go into the second half of the show is called Ask a Black Woman Podcast. I'm so excited to have just Dan with us today. So beautiful human being, beautiful hair, beautiful face, beautiful energy. And this is a testament to, thank goodness, that we don't look like what we've been through. We do
Mm,
not look like what we're going through. So, Anne, thank you so much.
thank you.
Pick all the flowers you ever could dream of. You deserve every little bit of it.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Ah, so the mic is officially yours. If
Ooh,
anybody's watching the show, please like, subscribe, share, tell someone about us, leave a comment, and wait till the end and hear the question that our guest and co-host has for us today. So, Anne, take it away. It's yours.
okay, so I do have questions for you. So,
Perfect.
one of the questions stems from this. I feel that a lot of us have navigated a lot of these changes recently. We don't have people who are in front of us who have the wisdom, who have the guidance to help us. So, you said that you hear some of yourself in my story, but you are on the other side. And that tends to come with a wealth of wisdom. And I wonder what you have to share for those of us who are starting this journey of kind of recalibrating, reclaiming ourselves, and getting into that, like you said, softer life, softer version. What do you have to share with us from your hindsight, from your perspective? What do you wish you would have known when you were there?
Honestly, to take a time out, to take a time out. And the fact that resting or pausing is your birthright. And one of the things I do is I train corporate people on a framework called PAWS, as a matter of fact. I train CPAs during tax season to take a pause. And one of the things I tell them is that, listen, tax season has been tax season forever. April 15th is always going to be April 15th. When you get pregnant, you know that your baby is going to be coming in 9 to 10 months. You already know that. You don't wait until the ninth month to start preparing for your baby. So I'm telling them, I said, listen, you can come along with your own, you knowing that it's coming. And if you find yourself spiraling, take a pause. It's okay to call a timeout, like I just did. Call a timeout. And so the P is for pause. And then A is for awareness of what's happening to me right now. What exactly is happening? What is the story I'm telling myself? How am I
Mm,
interpreting it? What am I saying to me or to others? How did we get here? Right? You is understanding that that too shall pass, and accepting that this is just you just with the journey, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. But even with 1,000 miles, there's step number 26 and step number 58 and step number 100, right? On our journey towards 1,000 miles. And then S is shift that story that you're telling yourself, shift it.
ooh,
Because
come
you have
on.
done hard things before, you can do hard things. You can continue to do hard things. And then E, of course, is take empowered steps or empowered action towards that which you have now decided, I'm not going to do this anymore. Because as you said, listen, No one is going to leave this earth alive. No one that I know of, right? So it's the quality of the dash, the day before, the day you were born and the day you die, that dash, that's what's going to count. So you say to yourself, listen, this is not working. And be
Mm.
honest with yourself. I wish I had thought about it on, I don't know, year number 5 of being married to him, or when year number 7. Nope. Mm-mm. If anybody had told me, I would have probably not even believed it. But I'm saying smart people learn from their mistakes and smarter people learn from other people's mistakes. You don't have to wait for it to happen to you. You can say to yourself today, you know what? I want to recalibrate. Your GPS does that. Your
Mm.
GPS says recalibrate it, make a U turn if possible. Make a U turn if possible. I have a poem that I wrote that I said, I think it was about, today I went to my own funeral. That's the
Oh.
title of the poem. And part of that poem, I said to myself, I said, I got to the crossroads of curiosity. And every time I got there, when I got curious, like, oh, well, why is this happening? I made a U-turn. I was like, no, I don't want to face it. I'm too afraid of what's on the other side. Yeah, but what's fear? It is not false evidence that appears real. It's not even real, right? So I would say to my younger self, girl, take a break, take a time out, because I ended up with fibromyalgia from that marriage that I have to this day. I wish, as you said, I had someone to tell me then. The other question is, would I have listened?
That's a good one.
Would I
Would you
have
have listened?
listened? So I
Mm.
can ask you the same question. Would you have listened to yourself 7 years ago, before 2023? 2022 was just 3 years ago. So 7 years ago, would you have listened to yourself if you hadn't fallen and like literally on your face,
I
which
know
is
I
a
would.
good place to be because there's only one other place to go, and that is up, right?
Hmm.
But at
I
what
know I
cost?
wouldn't
So
have.
would you? Yeah, I was just gonna say, would you
Because I
have
was too
listened to yourself?
dedicated to what I wanted to happen. I was too dedicated to the version of myself that was attached to the outcome. So, no, I wasn't going to go until I fell apart. It wouldn't have happened.
So I think a good place to go from this particular where we are in this conversation right now is maybe between the two of us, we can try to see if we can come up with 3 things people can do. So I came up with pause, right? You can just pause and recalibrate. Do you have anything else coming up for you for that with that?
You said something that stood out to me, the story that we're telling ourselves. That's a big part of what I talk about because even what I said, I was too dedicated to the story at the time. And so for me, where I am and what helped me shift was really sitting down in those moments of quiet because when I got sick, I couldn't handle any form of external anything. The sunlight was a problem, noise was a problem. I was forced into solitude and quiet. I was forced into darkness physically and, spiritually and symbolically. But what I found was I had to change the story. So if I would suggest anything, I would get to the bottom of why we are so dedicated on individual levels to what we feel is no longer working. What do we feel that means about ourselves? What do we think that is? What kind of failure do we feel like we're perceiving? Where is that? And then what is the pivot? Like you said, shift. What is the shift you can make in the story? Because one thing that I've learned, and this may sound a little to the side, but nothing is real or true except what you believe is real or
Period.
true. Because I'm telling you, as I examine all these things, what I find is you can have a situation where we're looking at what happened, but then you believe something else is happening. Your body will respond, your mind will respond, your actions will respond. And then 9 times out of 10, you're going to make the end result real. But then you can have the same thing in a positive form. Someone who you can know don't have the credentials for something and they're like, I'm gonna do it. I have to do it. I had a dream. And then you don't know how, you don't know why, but they do it. There was a young boy who recently passed away in our community, and at his funeral, this guy spoke and he said he was a bright light and he would come into the room and he was like, when he would be getting in trouble, one of the ways he would get out was like, hey, coach, take it easy on me. I'm the chosen one. I'm the chosen one. And he said at first he'll be like, what does that mean, man? What are you saying? He was like, I don't know, but I have it in my spirit. I'm the chosen one. And he said, and by the end of the year, I believed he was the chosen one because he believed he was the chosen
Because
one.
he believed he was the chosen one.
And he didn't have any, and this is what was key. When he asked him, why are you the chosen? What does that mean? He said, I don't know, coach. It's just in me. And so he didn't even have validation. And that goes back to me being just Am. You don't need to even be able to validate it in the moment. What is the story that you're telling yourself? And if that story has a negative impact on what you're able to accomplish, I challenge you to go back to the storyboard. I challenge you to rewrite the
Yes.
story, even if you cannot validate how or why. Just tell yourself the story, sow a seed of faith, and start to, like you said, the applied action in faith towards that, and watch how even the smallest thing, we have what we call confirmation bias. When you tell
Period.
yourself something is going to be true, you look
You
for
will.
evidence that it will be true. And when you find the smallest amount of evidence, it gives you confidence. Then you find more and more. And before you know it, you're acting in alignment with that faith. And then that act is bringing you back what you believe.
Period.
So
Becomes.
we're going to have to do that, especially because many of us as Black women, we are aiming to create things that don't currently exist. That is a special type of pressure, and you have to be able to believe in what you cannot see. And then on top of that, believe in what people are actively telling you cannot be true. You have to confirm it for yourself. You have to encourage yourself and just keep walking until you see evidence that something is moving. And before you know it, what did you say? The thousand mile, what'd you say?
I
You'll
mean,
be
a
there.
journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step, but even on your way to 1,000 miles, there's step number 26, there's step number 56, there's step number 181, and you get to make a U-turn at any point. I
Mhm.
love what you just said. No need for validation.
None.
Because that's exactly what happened to me. I'm going to go back to just a little, I'm going to
I
call
would
it a
love to
miracle.
hear
It
it.
looks like a miracle, but it's not because I just had radical self belief. When I said, you know what, on Wednesday, we were at 22 subscribers. It's a very simple thing. We were at 22 subscribers. I said, let me play on Mother's Day because I want us to record, to release them on Mother's Day of the episode. So I said, let me play on the Mother's Day. Let me see if I can get to 100 subscribers by Mother's Day. And I just put it out there. And then I looked and I was like at 43. What? Then 56, then 67, then 81, then 87. I'm like, and so, like you said, I just put it out there, but I also had radical belief, even though there was a little bit of doubt. I'm not going to
Hmm.
lie that, yeah, but can I really do it? But the more I started doing it, people started responding. Guys were like, "Oh yeah, I love this. Let me do it. Oh, I wish we had one for men." And people started talking, and I was like, "Well, it's just for girls." But then they're subscribing. And the funny thing is that when we got to number 87 on Saturday, I was giving a talk at a Mother's Day retreat. And I said, you know what? I'm going to tell these ladies that I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers for this brand new podcast, that there's no episodes yet. So they also believed because I believed. And then everybody signed up and what, 99. And I said, Lord, help me. So I told my friend Cynthia, I said, Cynthia, the first Black woman I see on my way out of this hotel, I'm going to tell her to subscribe. And lo and behold, we're coming downstairs. I see this lady with her family eating for Mother's Day. They came from Tennessee. I was like, man, my name is such and such and such. And she was like, shh. She brought out her phone and her phone was dead. And then her husband said, what's the fuss? I was like, this is it. He said, okay, sure, I got it. Phone dead.
Yes.
No,
Oh,
wait,
that
wait. Phone
excites me.
dead. And then we looked to the right. Their 12-year-old daughter said, I got you.
I got you.
Literally, she was number 100. This is the power. And then the husband and wife said, once we charge our phone, we're going to be 101 and 102. And by 10 p.m. that evening, lo and behold, that was 101 and 102.
Woo, you didn't just
But
achieve the
yeah,
goal. You
but not just that. It was like the belief now became a ripple effect. It now gave birth to
Yes.
more babies. And the guy was like, I want to watch this thing. I want to watch. And he was like, wait. That lady that said, I said, no. You don't get to argue with my co-host. That was her question. The question was about raising men who grow up to be boys who grow up to become warriors. And he was like, well, not all boys. I said, no, you don't get to challenge the question. That is her question. She has a reason for telling this. And then his wife was like, I can't wait to come on the show because I want to talk about that. I was like, there you go.
Get on the show.
Yeah, but I just want to hold space for what you said about that radical self-belief. And the third thing I was going to say is listen to your body. So the first one is pause. The second one was what was the second one you said?
Um,
Pause. And then
Awareness.
I think you said, yeah, I forgot what you said. That's how, yeah, believe it without validation.
Oh, yes.
And
Okay.
believe your story and listen, no, listen to the story you're telling. That was what you said. So the first one was pause and just become aware of it. And then the second one you said was the story you're telling yourself and how you can edit the story. It's your story. You get to rewrite it, right? And the third one, I'm saying listen to your body because
Mm-hmm.
your body will give you cues. We've been on giving you cues. I was having an argument with someone 2 days ago on the phone, and I knew in my mind when I needed to stop the argument. I knew, I was like, you need to stop now before this gets out of hand. You need to stop now. And I overrode that.
Mm,
Overrode that. And I was like, no, I'm going to keep going. And I knew exactly what was going to happen. And that's exactly what happened. My body told me, he said, don't, it's not about, you don't have to be right. And I knew it as God is my witness. And still I was like, nah. So I want us to, that's the third thing we can do. Three things you can do. Number one, pause. Number two, what is the story you're telling yourself? Then number three, listen to your body because this is the only body you're going to have. So
mm.
Anne, tell us, did your body give you any cues before your
Yes.
final breakdown? What was it like?
Yes. So, and this is where it's very interesting, and this is a big part of why I go back when I said, in hindsight, I saw the signs. But when I was in it, it was like my body kind of muted those signs, and I would be like dizzy or lightheaded, or I would stand up and feel a lot of pressure in my head. And I was thinking, and this also kind of goes back to the sports side of me, because in sports, to get to that next level, you get to the rep that's the hardest, and then you push a little further.
Yes.
So I kind of applied that to my life to my detriment because I was like, I'm feeling a little weak, but if I push to that next rep, I'm gonna expand myself. And that's where I hurt myself because that analogy didn't hold up in sustained living, in holistic living, because I was ignoring clear signs that even if you're pushing to that next rep, this is what I didn't have. And this is the information that I feel like many of us as Black women don't have in a conscious way. Like, it's one thing to hear information, okay? Awareness without application and without support, it's not going to go very far. And that's why I said
Period.
we can't do too
You
much.
have
You
to have
can know all
awareness
the things.
plus aligned action. You can be aware all you want. You can watch all the weight loss videos as much as you want. You're not going to lose an ounce unless you get into the action. So yeah, awareness. I love it. Yes. Sorry to
And
interrupt you, but
no,
yeah, I
no,
had oh
that's
my God. Yes,
beautiful. I love that.
awareness. Yes, and
And
then action, aligned
And then
action.
what I learned with the action, there comes a necessary amount of recovery. The more you act, the more recovery. You can't have recovery here and action here. I wasn't aware of
Mm.
that at the time because I was just, if I could just get it done, I'll lay down and I'll get up and I'll go again. But even athletes, when athletes that are healthy, that are preparing for longevity, they understand that the more they increase, the more they have to invest in their recovery and their health. And that's something that we as Black women don't have a lot of support, time, or resources to do. We don't know how to take care of ourselves. And I know that sounds counterproductive, like we don't know, because we all are we're very intelligent. We know how to
Yes.
decipher things below the surface. So then it's hard to accept that maybe something as simple as self-care is what we don't know. But because
Something
we're
as
in
simple as rest. No, no, no. Something as simple as rest. I love that you are in sports because actually I'm a former athlete. The funny thing about it is high school, my personal high school long jump record is not broken. And that
Woo!
was 40 years ago. Yeah. So
Um,
I've always been an athlete. When I was pregnant with my kids, I used to walk 4 miles, 48 miles a day because I've just always been like I'll just always go, go, go. But I love, love, love the point about recovery
yes.
because my baby, this one is a sport. He's an athlete, and he's doing
Yeah.
he's a junior in college now, doing kinesiology or exercise physiology, and he's always like, "No, mom, I did legs yesterday." I'm like, "What is he talking about?" Now I get it. You have to rest. You have to rest. You have to rest. It's just as powerful as actually taking action. Thank you so
Mhm.
much for centering on that because even I know about it, but I've not really like it hasn't really like dawned on me like yes, the more which is where the soft life comes from. Go, 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 go. Then rest, 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 rest. You must balance it, right? You not go, 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 rest. Go, no, no. You have to be equivalent amount of rest
The
for
more
the
you
yes.
go, the more you rest, and you have to preserve that. And
Yes.
I know for many of us, like when I talk about this in my spaces, I hear a lot that sounds really nice for someone who has support, who has resources. And I say for us, where we, for a lot, like the average Black woman, I get that because we're living under pressure and the pressure seems to be getting higher. And I say the women who are going to go to the next level in this economy, they're not going to be the women who do more. They're going to be the women who learn how to regulate in this type of pressure and learn how to create space and actually compound that, right? And that looks different for each of us. I know a lot of us want to get rich quick kind of application, but you have to be able to understand what type of space you need, what recharges your own body, and if you can just take 5 minutes here and then it turns into 10 minutes. Because one thing that I found on my particular journey was this: when I first started recovering from my sickness, I had to just take one thing off the plate because I still had kids. I still had responsibilities. Bills still had to get paid. Fortunately, I did have a partner who was taking care of the bills, right? So that's where I was very fortunate. But the kid rearing and all that stuff, he wasn't available for because he was working like from the time
Yes.
the sun came up till
To the
before the sun
sundown.
come up. Yeah.
Yes.
So there were still things that only I was able to access. And so I had to start looking at things that I previously thought were so urgent that could not do function without me. And I had to start removing one thing at a time. And that's what I talk about a lot is false urgency. People get mad at me with this one because I challenge the belief that not everything you believe or feel is urgent is actually urgent. And
Well, say
once
that phrase again. Say that phrase again.
false urgency, because we
False
when
urgency.
false
I
urgency.
just, I want, I know, I want you to say, I heard it now, but I want you to say it loud for people at the back because that is so true for those of us who are high achievers. It's
Especially.
like, Mom, I thought you said you retired. Why are you working even harder? I'm like, well, I don't have y'all. And so he was like, well, Mom, I know you grew up not really watching TV. Maybe you could start watching TV.
Watch you a show.
And now me and my Netflix.com, 9 o'clock, bam, Netflix.
I'm
And
done. Yes.
then he came in, he was like, Mom, you watch Netflix? I was like, yes, I watch Netflix. And then I watched the most ridiculous show on YouTube called Pop the Balloon and Find Love. He's
Oh,
like, no, Mom. I said, yes. My soft 9 o'clock Netflix
yes.
or pop the balloon and find love. And that's my own form of, okay, you cannot work all day. Now, some days if I have a deadline, I mean, we all
Mhm.
understand that, but
Yes.
I absolutely love the false urgency. Wow, that is
Mhm.
so powerful.
I
Keep
live
going.
by that. I live by that. And that was a part of what got me in that hole because everything, when you're living in survival mode, when you're counting up all these things, everything feels high stakes and you stop being able to differentiate. And that's why I go back to the simple things. When you're in a high stakes situation, you're not thinking of simple application. You're thinking of what you can afford to come into contact with, what's going to cost you the most. So you're always thinking in worst case scenario, right? So then it does move you away from the more simplistic things that feel kind of silly to overlook. But many
Almost
of
silly.
us,
Yes. Almost silly. Yes.
but many of us are in those spaces because everything feels urgent. And that's why I said the ones of us who are going to be able to kind of transcend these times that we're moving into, we're not going to be the ones who keep going harder, who are hustling, hustling, hustling. And I'm not saying that there isn't going to be work within that, but what I'm saying is the mindset shift. That's what I'm trying to highlight. We're going to have to shift away from that urgency and then shift into this idea, how can I create space even within this paradigm that feels incredibly urgent? What is actually urgent for today? And I tell people, women that I work with, when you look at urgency, when you really need to figure it out, you have to ask yourself, is my literal life, am I going to be harmed? Is something at stake? Is my finances at stake? Like, is it really going to be something that costs me something severe that I cannot come back from? If the answer is no, and you know that you need rest, and you know that you're not well, you just have to be willing to let it go. What I found on my personal journey. It's several things that I thought could not function without me. When I dropped them, they kept going. So then I started saying, hold on. Well, maybe I can drop a little bit more.
Well,
So I tell
yeah.
people it's not about creating the massive amount of space at first. Just see what little thing you can drop off. It might make you feel uncomfortable, but your nervous system is designed to make you feel safe. When you identify with survival patterns as safety, when you start pursuing your health, you do get in a little bit of a war with your nervous system. So even though you may not feel well, that doesn't mean what you're pursuing isn't well because we've been kind of designed and shaped and conditioned to move in reverse. We move towards the things that harm us on a long-term level. And instead, we need to start moving towards sustainable, holistic well-being. And then from that place, all the things that we want, more leverage, more ownership, more sovereignty, we will be able to build and not just build, we will be able to sustain in bodies that can support what it takes to scale. So that's really the premise of everything
Wow.
that has been in my space, in my mind, what I'm building.
That is so powerful. And I don't know how old you are, but it doesn't matter. I know I'm older than you, but to come from such a young soul, I am so proud that I'm going to leave this world with people like you. And people like you are going to survive me and people like me. Because our generation, I mean, I'll be 60 very soon. Like, so this is so important that people like you are younger and you're going to take the baton. And I know that the world is going to be in a better place because of
Mhm.
people like you. People, the show is called Ask a Black Woman podcast. And we have been just like enjoying the wisdom, the raw wisdom coming from Mississippi today. Like, and what do you do for a living? How can people find you, support you, get your merch?
Okay.
And what is the going away question? I feel like you gave us three already. How can I create space in the paradigm that I live in? What is urgent today? What little thing can I drop off? But I just wrote those down on my own. What question do you want our viewers to answer to answer for themselves as they exit the show today?
I think I would like to stick with the story question. What story are you telling yourself right now? What version of that story needs to be edited? And what is the next chapter that you're going to create? Because you can revise the story.
Yes, it's your story to write. Like literally, we're giving you permission. Ask a Black Woman podcast is giving y'all permission today to edit, rewrite your story. Here are the thing, toss it away, start over because you've been given another day.
Yes.
So good, so good. How can they find you and follow you
Okay.
and support you and get that merch?
Okay, so I am unveiling Ann everywhere that I am. I am growing my own YouTube channel, so you can find me on YouTube at Unveiling Ann. You can continue
Can
this
you
journey
spell
with
it?
me.
Can you
Hmm?
spell it? Can you spell
U,
it?
yeah, let me write it and spell it at the same time. Unveilinging, and then Ann is Anne. Unveiling Ann.
Okay, Unveiling Anne, y'all heard it from the source, from the horse's mouth themselves. Unveiling Anne on YouTube. Y'all, please go find Unveiling Anne on YouTube. Give her some love, support, follow, and find your way to that Black Women First merch.
Yes,
I
that's on my
haven't
website.
asked for it. I would like, I don't know if you have one in rainbow colors, because I'm a proud queer woman. I would like to have it in rainbow colors. If you
I
can
have
do
to
one
make
for
that
me
design for you.
so I can have rainbow and maybe across my the lettering for mine. I'll wait.
I'll have to
However,
create that design for you.
yeah. Plus we have Pride Month coming, and we don't want to
Yes.
like performance Pride Month people, but hey, listen,
Yeah.
I'm a member of a group with 50 or more thousand, 50 plus lesbians. If
Yes.
I wear that and I take a picture with it, I think at least one person is going to want it. So, hey, I'll
Okay, let
get
me get it
mine
started.
and then y'all can get yours. What am I saying? Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I said, let me get that down. Let me get it started.
Yeah.
I'm writing it down now.
Yeah. Either rainbow lettering or rainbows behind the lettering or something. However, and it can be black, it can be white, it can be red, whatever color. I think white would be cool. But hey, white with black lettering because it's Black women and then the rainbow behind it. If I had to ask, that's what I would ask for. People, ooh, as y'all know, I don't say ladies and gentlemen anymore because there are non-binary people, there are trans people, there are all kinds of people in our midst. So People, thank you so much for listening and for watching Ask a Black Woman podcast with Anne. And tell them one more time how to find you.
You find me at Unveiling Ann on YouTube, and that's where we're keeping things rolling.
But we met on Threads. Did we not? Did we meet on
Yeah, I
Threads?
was on Threads. I've been entertaining Threads a little bit. I'm new to
So
Threads.
what's your thing on Threads?
Everything, anywhere that I am, it's Unveiling Ann. So
Very
TikTok,
good.
Instagram, anywhere that I am. If you want to follow me on Instagram, help me. The algorithm does not love me there, but I love
Ah,
Instagram.
no.
Look, I love Instagram. I don't know if Instagram loves me.
Loves me back. Yes. But this has been so beautiful. Y'all, please go find and follow Unveiling Anne on across all social media platforms. Tell her you heard about her on this show. And if you heard about her on
Yes.
this show, then that means you probably want to consider coming on the show because why not?
Get on the
You
show.
get to become a co-host just like Anne did today. You get to share your love, your heart, your space, your all the things that you've learned, and maybe even come back if you choose to. My name is Dr. Lulu. I am so excited to be co-hosting with this beautiful Black women that God has made, goddesses across the board, 10 across the board. Black women, I love y'all. Answer the questions. What story are you telling yourself? What part of it can you edit? And we'll see you next time on Ask a Black Woman podcast. My name is Dr. Lulu, and I am. Bye. And you are a blessing.